The window closed with force. Claudia's living room and every woman in the circle froze. Olivia's breath hitched. "You heard that?" one of them whispered. Claudia forced a tight smile. "Relax, Frank isn't home." But her voice trembled, and the silence that followed felt dangerous. Across the hallway, Sonia stood barefoot, phone clutched to her chest, eyes wide with disbelief. She hadn't meant to listen. She had only come back early. But now the words she'd just heard made her stomach drop. "The rule is simple," Olivia was saying, her tone low but firm. "No member ever carries a child, and no husband ever walks away strong." Sonia's fingers trembled. What kind of meeting was this? Inside, Claudia leaned forward, eyes cold. "Frank is already dependent. Another few months and the divorce will finish him." Olivia hesitated, just for a second. "And you?" Claudia pressed. Olivia swallowed. "Eric suspects nothing. If you're already feeling the tension, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more shocking stories, because what happens next will change everything." Sonia backed away slowly, heart pounding so loudly she was sure they'd hear it. Her mind raced. Olivia? Pregnant? The words from the room echoed again in her head. No member ever carries a child. "Oh my God," Sonia whispered. Inside the living room, the meeting was getting darker. "We can't afford mistakes," another woman snapped. "If Olivia's condition becomes public, everything collapses." Olivia's voice cracked. "I said I'm handling it." Claudia's stare sharpened. "You'd better. We built this system carefully. Marry them, weaken them, divorce them. No loose ends." Sonia's pulse roared in her ears. Marry them, weaken them, divorce them. Frank was in danger. Without thinking, she spun around and grabbed her phone. "Frank," she whispered urgently as the line rang. "You need to come home. Now!" Back inside, Olivia suddenly pressed a hand to her stomach. Her face went pale. Claudia noticed immediately. "Olivia?" she said slowly, suspicion creeping in. Olivia forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine." But she wasn't, and deep down, she knew the truth was getting harder to hide. Meanwhile, miles away, Frank's phone buzzed again in his hand. He frowned. Sonia never sounded this scared. "What's going on?" he muttered, already reaching for his keys, because whatever secret was hiding in his own house was about to explode. And trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next, so drop your thoughts in the comments right now and stay locked in, because the next move could destroy every single one of them. The night was no longer quiet. It was waiting to erupt, and Sonia had just lit the match that would burn the deadly secret wide open for everyone to finally see the terrifying truth. Frank didn't slow down as he pulled into the driveway. The tires screeched, the engine cut, and his heart was already racing before he reached the door. Inside, the women were still talking. Claudia's voice was sharp now. "We end this cleanly, like always. Frank signs the papers, loses the house, loses the business, and walks away broken. That is the method." Olivia shifted in her seat. "And Eric?" Claudia's eyes hardened. "Eric will follow the same path." Olivia's fingers curled tightly over her stomach. Across the hallway, Sonia pressed herself against the wall, whispering urgently into the phone. "Frank, please hurry. They're planning something terrible. I heard everything." The front door suddenly unlocked. Click. Every head in the living room snapped toward the sound. Frank stepped inside. The silence was instant, heavy, dangerous. Claudia recovered first, her smile smooth but forced. "You're home early." Frank didn't smile back. His eyes moved slowly from face to face, then settled on Olivia, who couldn't hold his gaze. "Sonia called me," he said quietly. "Said I should hear what my wife and her friends are planning." A ripple of tension moved through the room. Claudia let out a soft laugh. "Frank, you're being dramatic." But Sonia stepped into the doorway. "I heard you," she said, voice shaking but loud enough to cut the air. "Every word." The room exploded into overlapping voices. "You were spying? That's not what we— You misunderstood." "Enough!" Frank's voice cracked like thunder. Silence dropped again. He turned slowly to Claudia. Divorce papers? Destroy my business? Was any of this marriage real to you? For the first time, Claudia's composure slipped. Olivia suddenly stood up. This isn't how it was supposed to happen! Claudia shot her a warning look. Sit down! But Olivia didn't move. Frank noticed. His eyes narrowed. What do you mean, Olivia? Her breathing grew uneven. Her hand trembled slightly over her stomach again. Sonia saw it first. Her eyes widened. Wait, Olivia, are you? Don't! Claudia snapped sharply. Too late. Frank's voice dropped to a whisper. Pregnant? The word hit the room like a bomb. One of the cult women cursed under her breath. Claudia's face went cold with fury. Yes. Olivia closed her eyes. The silence that followed was suffocating. Frank staggered back a step. But you said you didn't want children. Olivia's voice broke. I didn't plan this. Claudia stood slowly, her presence suddenly threatening. This changes nothing. Sonia stepped forward, anger flashing. It changes everything. You've been destroying men's lives. Frank's hands clenched. Is that true, Claudia? Was I just another target? Claudia's expression hardened into something almost cruel. You were necessary, she said flatly. That was the moment something inside Frank shattered. If Sonia hadn't heard you tonight, he said slowly, voice shaking with disbelief, you would have ruined me. Olivia looked at him, guilt flooding her face for the first time. Frank, I never meant— Stop, he said quietly. The room felt like it was closing in. And if you're feeling the tension right now, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because the final moments of this story will leave you speechless. Claudia suddenly reached for her bag. Sonia noticed instantly. Frank? Too late. Claudia turned, voice icy. This meeting is over. But the damage was already done. Secrets were out. Trust was broken. And the deadly cult that thought it controlled everything was finally starting to lose its grip. Because Sonia had heard the truth. And now Frank was wide awake. Frank didn't blink. For the first time since he met Claudia, he was seeing her clearly. Not the charming, calculated woman he married, but the cold strategist Sonia had warned him about. You were necessary, Claudia had said. The words kept echoing in his head. Slowly, Frank straightened his shoulders. His voice came out low but steady. So this was all a game to you? Claudia picked up her coat with slow, deliberate calm. Don't be emotional, Frank. Adults make arrangements. Some succeed, some don't. Sonia stepped forward, furious. Arrangement? You call ruining men's lives an arrangement? Olivia's composure finally cracked. Claudia, maybe we should just— Quiet! Claudia snapped. The room went tense again. Frank's jaw tightened. No, let her talk. Olivia swallowed hard, eyes glossy. For the first time, she looked less like a loyal cult member and more like someone trapped between two worlds. I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered. Claudia turned slowly toward her, disbelief flashing across her face. You are getting sentimental over a mistake. Olivia's hand moved protectively over her stomach again. It's not just a mistake anymore, she said softly. That was when the power in the room visibly shifted. The other women exchanged uneasy glances. Claudia noticed it too. Her voice dropped dangerously low. Remember your oath. Olivia looked up, and for the first time, there was defiance in her eyes. Maybe the oath was wrong. The air practically vibrated. Frank exhaled slowly, the pieces finally locking together in his mind. So the pattern is real. You marry men, drain them, then file for divorce once they're broken. No one answered. That silence was answer enough. Sonia folded her arms tightly. I told you something felt off from the beginning. Claudia's patience finally snapped. Enough of this drama, she said sharply. Frank, the papers will still come. Whether you understand tonight or not changes nothing. Frank surprised everyone. He smiled. Not warmly, not kindly, but knowingly. I don't think so. The room froze. Claudia's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? Frank reached into his pocket slowly and pulled out his phone. I recorded everything after Sonia called me, he said calmly. The reaction was instant and explosive. What? You wouldn't dare! Claudia's face went pale for the first time all night. Frank's voice stayed steady. Every word, every plan. Sonia's eyes widened with relief. Olivia looked like the floor had disappeared beneath her. Claudia stepped forward slowly, voice dangerously quiet. Delete it. Frank shook his head once. No, the balance of power had officially flipped. And if your heart is racing right now, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what happens next will shock you even more. Claudia studied Frank carefully, recalculating. You think this ends us? She asked coldly. Frank met her gaze without flinching. I think this ends your pattern. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Olivia spoke, barely above a whisper. Claudia, maybe we should stop. Claudia turned on her slowly. You've already said too much tonight. But something had broken inside Olivia. Years of loyalty, years of silence, years of following rules that suddenly felt suffocating. I joined because I thought we were protecting ourselves, Olivia said, voice trembling. Not destroying people. Sonia nodded firmly. Exactly. Claudia looked around the room and for the first time realized she was losing control. Her voice hardened. We're leaving. Two of the women quickly grabbed their bags, but Olivia didn't move. Claudia's eyes flashed. Olivia? A long pause. Then Olivia slowly shook her head. I'm not coming. The silence that followed was deafening. Frank stared at her, stunned. Sonia's mouth fell open slightly. Claudia's face went completely still, the most dangerous expression yet. You are making a very serious mistake, Claudia said quietly. Olivia's voice was soft but firm. No, I already made one. Tonight, I'm fixing it. For a moment, it looked like Claudia might explode. Instead, she gave a thin, chilling smile. This isn't over. Then she turned sharply and walked out. The other women followed quickly behind her. The front door slammed. And just like that, the house fell into heavy, unfamiliar silence. Frank exhaled slowly, running a hand over his face. I can't believe this was my life. Sonia stepped beside him gently. You're out now. That's what matters. Across the room, Olivia stood frozen, caught between relief and fear. Frank looked at her carefully. Why stay? Her eyes filled with emotion. Because for the first time, she whispered, resting a hand on her stomach, I want to choose something different. The camera would slowly fade here, but the tension, it lingers. And if you stayed to the very end, drop a comment below. Do you think Claudia will come back for revenge? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Weeks passed, but the silence Claudia left behind never truly settled. Frank tried to return to normal life, but normal no longer existed. Every time his phone buzzed, his chest tightened. Every unfamiliar car outside the house made Sonia peek through the curtains twice. One evening, Frank sat at the kitchen table, staring at the recording on his phone again. His thumb hovered over the screen. Sonia leaned against the counter. You keep replaying it like it's going to change. Frank exhaled slowly. I just don't understand how I missed all the signs. Across the room, Olivia sat quietly, fingers intertwined. her expression softer than it had ever been. Pregnancy had changed something in her. Or maybe the truth had. "You didn't miss them," Olivia said gently. "We were trained to hide them." Frank looked up. That was the first time she had said "we" without hesitation. The air shifted. Sonia crossed her arms. "You really think Claudia's just going to disappear?" Olivia's face darkened slightly. "No." The word landed heavy. Frank straightened. "What do you mean, no?" Olivia swallowed. "Claudia doesn't lose control and walk away peacefully. She regroups." A quiet tension filled the room. Sonia muttered, "Fantastic. Exactly what we needed to hear." Frank stood up slowly, pacing once. "Then we stay ready." Before anyone could respond, a sharp knock hit the front door. All three of them froze. Another knock, louder. Sonia whispered, "Were you expecting anyone?" Frank shook his head slowly. Olivia's hand instinctively moved to her stomach. The third knock came, firm, deliberate. Frank moved cautiously toward the door. His heart was pounding so loudly, he was sure the others could hear it. "Frank," Sonia warned quietly. He reached the door and paused, then slowly pulled it open. Standing outside was not Claudia. It was a courier. Frank blinked. "Yes?" The courier handed over a plain envelope. "Signature required?" Frank signed quickly, confusion replacing fear, but only slightly. The moment he shut the door and opened the envelope, his stomach dropped. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No return address, no greeting, just one sentence. "Some mistakes don't stay buried." Sonia stepped closer. "What is it?" Frank handed her the paper silently. Her eyes widened. "She's playing games now." Olivia looked pale. "That's her style. Psychological pressure first." Frank's jaw tightened again, but this time there was steel in his voice. "She picked the wrong house." And right here, if this tension has you hooked, this is your sign to hit that subscribe button and like this video, because the story is far from over. That night, none of them slept easily. Every small sound in the house felt louder. Every shadow felt longer. But something else had changed too. Frank wasn't the same man Claudia married, and Olivia wasn't the same woman who followed blindly. Morning came slowly. Sunlight pushed through the curtains. For a brief moment, everything felt calm. Then Olivia's phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face drained instantly. Sonia noticed first. "What now?" Olivia turned the screen toward them with shaking hands. It was a message from an unknown number. Just 6 words. "You can't run from sisterhood." Frank's expression hardened completely. He looked between both women and spoke with quiet certainty. "Then we stop running." The camera would slowly pull back here. Tension thick. Danger still lurking. But the balance of power no longer one-sided. Because this time, they were ready. And if you made it this far, drop a login in the comments if you think Claudia is planning something bigger. Like, subscribe, and stay close. Because in stories like this, the real storm always comes after the silence. The silence after that message felt heavier than any argument they had survived. Frank placed his phone down slowly, his voice calm but firm. "We're not waiting for her next move." Sonia nodded immediately. "Good, because she's definitely planning one." Olivia sat very still, eyes locked on the message. For a moment, she looked torn, like someone standing between 2 burning doors. "She won't come directly," Olivia finally said. "Claudia never attacks head-on. She isolates first, then strikes." Frank leaned forward. "Then we stay together." For the first time, Olivia gave a small, grateful nod. But just as the tension began to settle, another sound. Not a knock, not a buzz. A car engine outside. Idling. All 3 of them froze again. Sonia moved first, carefully pulling the curtain aside just a fraction. Her breath caught. "Frank." His voice dropped. "What?" "There's a black car outside. Been sitting there." Olivia's face went completely pale. "That's her," she whispered. Frank's jaw tightened, but this time there was no panic, only focus. "Okay," he said quietly. "We handle this smart." Sonia turned sharply. "You better not be thinking of going out there." Frank gave a thin, controlled smile. "No, I'm thinking bigger." He picked up his phone again and tapped the recording. "Claudia likes control," he said, "so we take it away." Olivia looked at him carefully. "What are you planning?" Frank met her eyes directly. "We expose everything." The room went still. Sonia's brows lifted. "You mean publicly?" Frank nodded once. Olivia hesitated, old loyalty flickering for a split second, but then she took a slow breath. It might be the only way to stop her. Frank stood fully now, energy shifting in the room. "Good," he said, "because we're done playing defense." Outside, the black car's engine finally turned off. Click. All three of them heard it. Footsteps approached the house. Slow, deliberate. Sonia whispered, "She's coming to the door." Frank didn't move. Olivia's fingers tightened together. The footsteps stopped right outside. Then, knock. One slow knock. Frank walked to the door again, but this time his posture was completely different. Steady. Ready. He opened it, and there she was. Claudia. Perfectly composed, cold smile in place. Her eyes scanned the room quickly, immediately noticing Olivia still inside. One eyebrow lifted. "Well," Claudia said smoothly, "this is disappointing." Frank crossed his arms. "You should have stayed gone." Claudia's smile didn't fade. "You always were more stubborn than useful," she replied calmly. Sonia stepped forward, fire in her voice. "Say what you came to say and leave." Claudia tilted her head slightly, amused. "I came to give Olivia one last chance to correct her mistake." The room tightened instantly. Olivia slowly stood. For a long second, no one spoke. Then Olivia shook her head. "I'm done correcting your kind of mistakes." For the first time, just a flicker, Claudia's eyes hardened. Frank noticed. Sonia noticed. The mask was cracking. Claudia exhaled slowly, then gave a thin smile. "Very well," she said quietly. "Just remember, choices have consequences." Frank held up his phone slightly. "So does evidence." That landed. Hard. Claudia's gaze dropped briefly to the phone, then back to Frank. A long, dangerous pause followed. Then she smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. "We'll see how long your courage lasts." She turned smoothly and walked back toward the waiting car. The engine started moments later. Then the car drove off. Gone. But the tension she left behind? Still very alive. Inside the house, no one spoke for several seconds. Finally, Sonia exhaled hard. "Okay, that woman is not finished." Frank nodded slowly. "Neither are we." Olivia rested a hand gently on her stomach, her voice quiet but stronger than before. "She built her power on silence," Olivia said. Frank looked at her. "So we make noise." Sonia smiled slightly. "Now that I like." The camera would slowly fade here, the storm no longer approaching, but forming. And if you stayed all the way to the end, comment "ready" below if you think Claudia's next move will be her most dangerous yet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the next story might expose secrets even darker than this.